You may think your income is a reflection of your skills, your education, your circumstances, but it's not. Your income is a reflection of your identity. Let me say that again. You earn what you earn because of who you believe you are. Not because of how smart you are, not because of how hard you work, but because of the invisible blueprint in your subconscious mind, the image you hold of yourself. If you see yourself as a middle-class person, you will live a middle-class life. If you see yourself as someone who's always behind on bills, that will become your financial rhythm. Even if you win the lottery, even if you get a raise, even if you stumble into wealth, your self-image will pull you back like gravity. Because the outer world can only reflect what's happening internally. This is not philosophy. This is neuromechanics. I saw it time and time again in my work as a plastic surgeon. I would change a man's face, reshape his nose, correct his scars, but nothing would change until he began to see himself differently. You don't live according to facts. You live according to your inner picture. If that picture says, I'm not the kind of person who succeeds, then no strategy, no seminar, no book, no business will ever make you truly wealthy. You'll self-sabotage. You'll procrastinate. You'll get close and then pull away. Why? Because you're trying to live outside the boundaries of your identity. And the subconscious will always fight to keep the image stable, even if that image is destroying your potential. You don't need more motivation. You don't need to grind harder. You need a new self-image. And that begins with awareness. Look around at your current life, your bank account, your relationships, your lifestyle. Ask yourself, what kind of person would be living this way? Then ask, what must I be believing about myself to allow this? That question is the key to your transformation. Because the moment you realize that your external world is not the problem, your internal picture is, you stop trying to change the mirror and start changing the face that's reflected in it. Your outer world is not the cause, it's the consequence. Money is not the master, it's the servant. And it will only serve the image you've instructed your mind to believe. So if you want to raise your income, upgrade your identity. Because everything out there starts in here. And once you see this clearly, something deeper will begin to unfold. Poverty is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Because poverty is rarely about money. It's about programming. Most people confuse condition with identity. They say things like, I grew up poor. Money was always tight. We were taught to survive, not to thrive. And so they carry those stories like sacred truths, never realizing they were just programs installed by someone else. No child is born thinking, I'll never be rich. No child is born believing they have to work until they die just to survive. Those ideas are passed down, repeated, reinforced until they become part of the subconscious. And once a belief reaches the subconscious, it becomes automatic. You don't think about brushing your teeth, you just do it. Why? Because it's been programmed. In the same way, most people don't consciously choose to struggle financially. They simply repeat patterns that were installed without their permission. You hear things like, money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. You have to work twice as hard to get half as much. People like us don't get ahead. That's not wisdom, that's a virus. And the virus doesn't just infect your thinking, it infects your self-image. You stop dreaming big, you stop expecting more. You shrink your goals to fit your programming. But here's the truth. You were not born to repeat the limitations of your family. You were born to rewrite them. Just because your parents lived with lack doesn't mean you have to. Just because your neighborhood struggled doesn't mean you're sentenced to the same fate. You are not your past. You are not your paycheck. You are not your circumstances. You are the programmer now. You get to rewire the system. You get to choose what beliefs stay and what gets deleted. You get to stop saying, I can't afford that, and start saying, how can I create that? But here's what most people miss. You cannot outperform a program you refuse to challenge. As long as you defend your scarcity with stories, excuses, justifications, you will remain enslaved to it. Your brain is loyal to your beliefs. It will find evidence for whatever you believe is true. So, if you believe money is hard to get, your mind will ignore every opportunity that feels too good. If you believe you're not worthy of success, your behavior will find subtle ways to push it away. That's not bad luck, that's programmed expectation. And the only way out is reprogramming. Start by asking yourself, what are the first 5 things I ever heard about money? Whose voice do I still hear when I try to think bigger? Am I living my truth or someone else's limitation? Because until you become aware of your programming, you'll keep living it like it's a fact. But when you see the program, really see it, that's when you can finally break it. And once you do, something even more powerful comes into focus. Picture a room with a thermostat set to 22 degrees Celsius. Now imagine you open the windows on a cold morning. The temperature begins to drop. But what happens? The thermostat kicks in, the heater turns on, and the room is pulled back to its preset level. Your self-image works the same way. It is the thermostat of your life. And no matter how much success you force into your environment, no matter how much you push, grind, hustle, if your internal thermostat is set to average, that's where your results will return. You can get a raise, but you'll find a way to increase your expenses. You can land a great client, but you'll suddenly lose motivation. You can make 6 figures 1 year and be broke again by March. It's not sabotage, it's self-regulation. You're not lazy. You're loyal to your internal setting. This is why most people live in cycles. They rise a little. They fall. They rise again. They fall again. And eventually they start believing this is just how life is. But life isn't like that. Their self-image is, if you believe you're a 40-0 a year person, that belief will shape your habits, your decisions, your confidence, everything. Even if you're offered more, you'll feel uncomfortable, out of place, unworthy. And you'll unconsciously do what it takes to bring things back to normal. Because humans don't seek what they want. They seek what feels familiar. And unless abundance feels familiar, you'll resist it. Unless prosperity feels natural, you'll reject it. Even if it's good. If it violates your self-image, you'll push it away. This is why willpower fails. It tries to push you above your setting, but the subconscious pulls you back down. Not because it's cruel, but because it's committed to your identity. Your subconscious doesn't care if you're rich or broke. It only cares if you're consistent with who you think you are. So if you want permanent change, you can't just change your behavior. You have to change your setting. And that begins with emotional rehearsal. It begins with imagining what life feels like at the next level. Not just visualizing it once, but living there, mentally, until it becomes your new familiar. Until your thermostat resets, you must rehearse success so vividly, so often, that your subconscious says, yes, this is me now. And when it does, your behavior aligns. Your confidence rises. Your results follow. You're no longer swimming against the current of your identity. You've shifted the current itself. And that's when the external changes become effortless. Not because the world got easier, but because you finally stopped dragging your old self into your new life. But that raises a deeper question. How do we begin to rewrite those internal images that run the show? That's where the real transformation begins. The subconscious doesn't respond to logic. It doesn't care how many affirmations you speak or how badly you want something. It responds to image. That's the language it understands. Not words, not effort, not willpower. Pictures, emotions, repetition. You can scream, "I'm a millionaire," in the mirror every morning. But if your internal picture still shows someone scrambling to pay rent, that old image will win every single time. Because the subconscious mind is not analytical. It's literal. It believes whatever you impress upon it emotionally and repeatedly. That's why trauma can imprint so deeply, and why vision, when paired with belief, can rewire your destiny. This is where most people miss the mark. They focus on doing more, but they skip the seeing. They want a new life, but they never install a new image. So let me tell you what I learned, not from books, but from watching people change before my eyes. As a surgeon, I altered faces. But the real transformations happened when people altered their self-image. Some patients would look in the mirror after surgery and still see their old scars. Others, even before the bandages came off, would already feel reborn. What made the difference? The internal picture. They had already begun to visualize a new version of themselves. They rehearsed it, they believed in it, and because of that, their mind began to cooperate with the new reality. You can do the same with your finances. Close your eyes and ask, what does the wealthy version of me look like? How does he or she walk into a room? What do they wear, say, believe, expect from life? How do they respond when faced with an opportunity? How do they manage money? How do they give? Don't just imagine a pile of money that's not identity, that's fantasy. Imagine the person you must become to attract and manage that level of wealth. See it in color, feel it in your body, and most importantly, practice it daily. Mental rehearsal is not pretend, it's preparation. Olympians do it, pilots do it, world-class performers do it. They walk through the event in their mind before it ever happens, so that when it does, it feels normal. You must do the same, not just once, but over and over again, until the image becomes so familiar, you'd feel strange going back to your old self. That's when change becomes permanent, because you're not trying to be someone new. You've already become it inwardly. And when the image changes, the emotions follow. When the emotions shift, the behavior aligns. And when the behavior aligns, reality bends. You don't get what you want. You get what you can picture with emotion and repetition. That's the true secret. Wealth doesn't begin in your job or your business. It begins in your imagination, planted like a seed, watered with belief, harvested through identity. But there's one final shift that locks it all into place. Here's the ultimate truth few ever grasp. Your wealth, your financial reality, does not start in your bank account, your job, or your business. It starts in your belief about yourself. Before money can flow into your life, you must first believe you deserve it. Not just with your mind, but deep in your core, where doubt, fear, and old stories have taken root. You see, belief is not a thought. It's an identity. It's the foundation of your reality. And until you rebuild that foundation, no external change will last. That's why so many people chase wealth and never keep it. They want more, but they don't become more. They think success is a prize to be won, when really it's a reflection of who they are. Let me make this clear. His self-image is the limit to your wealth. Raise your image, and your wealth will rise. Ignore it, and your wealth will stagnate. But how do you change belief? How do you rewrite identity? It begins with daily practice. Not empty affirmations, but deliberate emotional acts of self-recognition. Acts that say, I am worthy. I am capable. I am a creator of abundance. I manage money with wisdom and confidence. Every day, look in the mirror and see the person you are becoming. Speak to yourself with respect and love. Hold that image steady through the chaos of doubt and fear. Remember, the mind is like a garden. If you plant weeds of scarcity, fear, and unworthiness, that's what will grow. But if you plant seeds of abundance, faith, and self-worth, those will take root and flourish. The moment you begin to believe differently about yourself, your actions will naturally follow. You'll take risks you once feared. You'll recognize opportunities you once ignored. You'll manage your finances with care and vision. You'll attract people, resources, and ideas aligned with your new identity. This is the essence of true wealth. Not just money in your account, but the mindset that sustains it. So start today. Look beyond the numbers, beyond the paycheck, beyond the debt. Focus on the image you carry of yourself. Build it up, protect it, nourish it. Because the richer your self-image, the richer your life will become. And when you fully embrace that truth, you realize the greatest wealth of all is not the money itself. but the beliefs that you are worthy of it